Hey, welcome to another evening edition of the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. I hope you're doing well today. My daughter was like, why you have so much energy? Because I just got back from a 2 mile jog, run, trot thing. So I got all this energy right now. And later on, I have to go to the gym because I'm not making that mistake again. But that's not the topic here today. So I didn't get to do a show today because I was really busy. I was doing some stuff, building some metrics. People were building these PowerPoint charts, and I'm trying to make the system just give them the data so you don't have to copy paste all over the place and do spreadsheets and do things. So I was kind of doing that today a little bit. I was a little busy, caught up on that. But I wanted to share with you, I talked earlier today about being your customer is probably the best way to get close to knowing the customer, being a customer yourself for your product line. But I wanted to expand on it because this is the 5 a.m. Mester Scrum Show. This is our 1287th episode, right? And tonight we talk about we team and HR stuff. And I wanted a combination where I believe, and I've seen this happen. I'm going to give you an example. Giving your team or your employees a discounted access to your product line and what you do, your services, is a good idea from a couple perspectives. One, so we're going to go through that today. And I'm going to give you some examples where I saw it really benefit some pretty large companies and also some small companies, So we'll go over that a little bit here today and discuss that. Even if you're not a front end person, I'm gonna cover a little bit of that. If you don't deal directly with the customer, how do you do it when you deal with internal customers? So there's a variation of this thing for dealing with internal customers as well. But I still think you should be a customer of the product that your company is producing. So let's talk about that. So from an HR perspective, one of the biggest things in teams and HR and companies is turnover. Worried about people leaving a company and things like that. And I've noticed a lot of companies would give you discounted access to their products or service. So I worked for a very large telecom company for a while, and they would offer discounted like 50%. I don't know. I don't know what the number, let's just say it's 50%. I don't know what the percentage is. I'm just making up 50%. I would offer at least 50% or whatever my costs were to provide the service to my employees to have access to that product. And why do I say that? A couple things. When we were developing product, it was great. You know why? Because then we would put it up on the server and they would have special access, or they would be the first ones to see it as far as what was coming out on the programming. And they would tell us if there was any issues, right? So we instantly had thousands of user testers, user group of thousands of people to go use the product and give us, if they found any glitches, like something went through or something was missing or something was odd or something was off or the speed wasn't there or whatever it was, we got that feedback. And we didn't have to pay an outside company to do this once they got into production, because when they do software code, and this is one of the most dangerous things I ever seen in my life, not the most dangerous, taking off in an aircraft carrier, being shot off, that's dangerous. Being a Marine or whatever, that's dangerous. But danger from a software deployment perspective, where they would run it, but they wouldn't know exactly how it worked, and they would do a quick hot test in production. So they would put something in production, have people in the office and the product owners or whoever's in charge of it to go use the software to see if it was working. And if everything looked good, they do a quick check. They can't check everything. I mean, you can't. But if you had thousands of employees or whatever, they could easily go in, hey, we're deploying that tonight. Do us a favor. Go on tonight. Go on the service. Play around with it, see if it works and how it's doing, and let us know by tomorrow morning how it's doing. And if it ain't working, we'll shut it down before it sits out there too long, or back it out. So it was a great thing to have from a quality perspective. Now, the other thing is from a perk perspective. Hey, I don't have to pay you any money. In fact, you're paying my cost to give it to you at a discount. So think about this logic here, right? I can give my employees a perk, which is access to my product at a discount or at my cost, right? So in essence, it doesn't cost me any money to give my employee a perk. Sounds like a great HR way of retaining people, right? And we get the quality stuff because they're willing, because they know if the product's good, they get paid too, and they come back, and it's an endless loop on positivity. So why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you offer that as a perk for your team? That's one aspect. So let's say you're a big company and that's the way you are. Let's talk about a small company real quick. Yeah, you're a coffee shop or you're a food service place, right? And I just want to give you an example of allowing them to be the taste testers of the food every so often. I went to a chick something something, and I won't say what it was. Let's say it was a chicken shop. They just opened and went up to the cash register and asked the person. I says, while I was in there waiting in line because there's a lot of people there, I said, "So which one's your favorite?" Because I honestly was gonna order whatever her favorite was in the cash register line is what I was gonna order because I'm like, okay, I'll try it, see what it goes. Because I've only been there like once or twice at the time. She hadn't tried the food yet, right? She had no basis from which to tell me what was good or bad. She had to ask her friend. These were teenagers, right? What was a good one because they haven't had it yet. And I'm like, how do you not be a customer to tell your customer what you think is good just to give your opinion? It's like, hey, I like this. I had this the other day. It's really good. If you're at a fancy restaurant, hey, I tried the appetizer or the chef's doing a little special thing. We got to try it out. It's awesome. If you don't have that in your mix as a business to allow your employees to be customers of your product line, you're shooting yourself in the foot. Really, seriously are. Now there's giving discounts and food, and they get free food in a lot of restaurants. You get free food. That's how I survived through college. To be honest with you, I get my macaroni and cheese with the mushroom. I make my own thing because I was a side work cook. Um, but anyway, but you could do that too. So even from a small business perspective, letting your employees try your stuff out, letting them be members of your mailing list if you have a company. Let them be members of the mailing list so they can see on the other side what's coming out through the system so they can let you know if something goes wrong. Because I'm telling you right now, it will go wrong. Sooner or later, something goes wrong. Like I did something the other day and I gotta fix it on my computer tonight. I was doing something and I realized I was looking at a feed. I'm like, oh, that's wrong. I gotta fix that, by the way. I got a bug. I screwed up somewhere. Anyway, so I gotta fix that. So you find that by letting them be customers, right? Now back to the team perspective. One other thing, let's say you're not a front end person and you're not front end. So I still say you should give them access to your product. Like when I work for a big bank, right? I think you should give them discounted or free access to check the accounts, right? Why? They're going to put their money in your account. So you're going to make money off their money, but they get to use the system and give you feedback loops from the inside on how things are working. Does the website work? Does the account work? I don't think you should force them either. And maybe I'll say this for another thing, but I also think you should encourage them to be customers of your competition as well. And I got a whole facet on that I can talk about another day, but I think you should let them do that as well. Bring back what are they doing? Are they doing something different? Don't stick your head in the hole and not see what's going on. So, but back to being a customer. So let's say you're a team and you're not access to the front end. You're not like the consumer side of the product or the business side. Maybe you sell giant pipes for plumbing. Well, I'm not a plumber on the other side to use giant pipes. Got it. You're not gonna have that need. However, you can always do testing, but that's a different story. But okay, but let's say you are someone on a team and you service finance, or you service marketing, or you service the supply room, or the warehousing people, or the frontline cash register stuff. You always hear these stories of these people, these teams would go out and work like there was an eyeglass, and they always talked this years ago. They would go to an eyeglass shop, right? And they worked in the glasses shop and figured out by working there what people really wanted to see. And they brought that back into the business because they were participating. But let's say you are working with finance, right? You're going to work on their software. They're going to give you requirements. I always recommend it to all my business analysts that I work with, and hopefully the developers, if they would do it. And sometimes they didn't want to do it, but I try to really encourage them, and definitely the business analyst, to go sit next to the person who is going to be using your software that you're going to be creating and see how they do their job. Look at the number of steps they hit. Look at all the sequences they got to do, the data entry, what they're looking for, what's going on in their mind, their logic. So sit in their be in their moccasins for a day, or sit in their chair for a day, or at least pair program in a way with them. Pair do what they do. I mean, I did that when I used to work with the Navy Department, and I remember going to Cherry Point, North Carolina, and they had the warehousing people. And yeah, it wasn't what I did, but I asked them, I said, do me a favor. Go, you make this acquisition, you need a spare part, whatever. Do me a favor. Hit every system and do what you do. And I wrote a flow chart that documented their total process of how they get something, what they identify, all the steps they had to do. It actually was like 8 pages long. All these steps they had to do to process an order. But I wanted to understand, because I wanted to come back when I did my designs and my engineering for product and bought product. I wanted to know how my product was not going to make their life more difficult. In fact, I always wanted to make their life more easy, but I can only understand that by going into their office and doing their job. So I never met with the end customer. However, I worked with that group. I sat there when they did the sales orders. I sat when they built the ads, when they do the other things, when they do the accounting and tax year, what things they look for, when they fill out the forms and the health insurance, all those kind of things. I would sit there and have a lot of times I did it because that's how I knew what was going on. But I had my BAs, because I already knew the answer. I'm like, why don't you go over there? Because I know you don't know what you're doing. Go over and see what they're doing. So try to take on that role of what the customer does, even if it's an internal customer and it's not external. I always had this argument. Now I'm mumbling. But anyway, I always had this argument with people. Well, I don't deal with an external customer. They're still your freaking customer. Even if they're internal customers, they are, quote, your customer. They're just not a consumer customer. They are your internal customer for your business. And I love it when people argue with me. They're not their customers. Yes, they are your customer. Because if you give them bad product, they're going to trash you in your business, in your company, in your corporation. Trust me, they always do. Anyway, because I probably did. No, I never really trust anybody. I just go, I don't know what they're doing. That was probably about as bad as I would trash them. Or let me show you how to do it is the other thing I would do. But so those are 3 areas, right? So from an HR perspective, for retention, offer discounted access or at cost access to your product. Again, it costs you no money because, in fact, your employee's paying for the product. So it doesn't cost you anything to get quality control, quality checks on how good your product is with your people, your employee customers, and they bring those feedback loops to build a better product, right? And then the other one is from the outside. Go work the cash register. Go get discount for buying your food. Give them a sampling of the food. Don't let your staff go out there and not have used it. Like if you've got dry cleaning service or a coffee shop or any kind of shop, taxes, offer discount cost to do the taxes for your employees, right? Why not? They may not pay as much, but they would be good people to understand the process and what needs, so that when you have a customer go, they could probably help get the customer ready for you and prep them so you're spending less time helping that customer. And by the way, Bubbles found us. Hi, Bubbles. You want to say hi? There she is. Blah, 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 blah. There he goes. So there's Bubbles. She's just crying because she's got attention from Dad. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you too. It's 15 minutes or shows up, but I hope that was helpful. I really do believe you should be a customer of your product. I hope I shared some things that maybe HR can do, your company can do. I'll bring in all your people to be customers of your product to give you feedback loops on how good you are really doing. With that, I want to wish you the best today. I want to wish you happy scrumming and good luck. And I guess I'll see you in the morning. Hopefully, I'll do a show in the morning. We'll see how that goes. It's really Thursday. Wow, it's Thursday. The week went by because there was a holiday. So, have a great evening, and we'll see you soon. I got to go to the gym and work out and keep my 67-day 5 a.m. challenge up where I go to the gym every day. I'm restarting that thing, by the way. Sometimes you have to restart. Take care, everyone. Have an awesome day. Bye. See ya. And we're out.